Welcome to Pique Your Interest, your go-to podcast for all things mortgage and real estate. Hosted by Tanner Greenwald and Tim Malaskis. We bring you expert insights to help you buy, sell, and invest with confidence. Let's dive in.
Hi, welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Tim, and a couple weeks ago, we talked a little bit about the FHA 203K, and just in case you haven't seen that episode, a 203K is a renovation mortgage. Both FHA and conventional have, a renovation product. The 203K is probably the most well-known. It's been around for a really long time. But today we're going to talk a little bit more about the conventional counterpart, the Fannie Mae home style renovation, the Freddie Mac home choice renovation. A lot of similarities, some differences, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But the similarities are, it's a renovation product, so you're financing the cost of all of the repairs or upgrades that you want to do to the house, in addition to what the sales price is, and so. You can do pretty much anything you want with this product. If you want to, tear down a house and sort of, down to most of it, the foundation, and rebuild it, or you want to add a pool, or you want to renovate a kitchen, or you want to upgrade bathrooms, that sort of thing. There's essentially no limit to what you can or can't do with this product. Really only limited by the value. And so essentially what happens is you have a purchase price, you have all of the money that you're going to sink into it for the repairs. All of that gets financed into your loan. And, after you close, your contractor starts doing work on the house, and, every once in a while, the appraiser will come back out to the property, inspect the work that's been done, make sure it's done in a workmanlike manner, release the funds to the contractor, and so on until the project is done. With conventional renovation mortgages, you get about 12 months to get all of the work done. And if you're not going to be able to live in the property for the first, say 6 months or so, you're even allowed to escrow the mortgage payments for that. And so, that's a pretty popular option, because if you're doing the kind of work to a house, like you're gutting a kitchen or, bedrooms or bathrooms, and you're not going to be able to live there, they can escrow the mortgage payments for you so that you're not coming out of pocket with, wherever you're living now, whether it's a mortgage that you have or rent that you have, and this mortgage that you've taken on, you can escrow those payments so that you're not coming out of pocket with both of those housing payments, each month. And so again, you have about 12 months to get all the work done. And, once that's completed, there could be some money left over. If that's the case, that money gets paid down on your principal. All of that is pretty much the same as a 203K. I mentioned some of the differences. Some of the differences are things like, probably the biggest one is that with this conventional product as opposed to an FHA, with FHA, you could only do a primary residence. With this, conventional renovation product, you are able to do second homes and investment properties. So if you are, in the market for finding an investment property, you can't really find what you're looking for, and you want to do some work to it, this is a great product to be able to do so. And again, the same thing with the 203K. Like, this product is awesome for, the market that we're in right now, because there's, not a whole lot on the market. There's certainly more than there has been recently, but there's still not what we would call, a healthy amount of inventory on the market. And so, you have the ability to take out money to make renovations to a house that isn't quite perfect. So if you're looking at houses and you're not quite finding what you're looking for, there's something that's missing or a couple of things that you'd like to have, this becomes a good product. And so whether it's a primary residence, a second home, an investment property, this conventional renovation product is exactly the type of thing that you'd be looking for to do all of those upgrades or all of those repairs that you want to do. I would say the same thing to real estate agents. Certainly keep this as something in the forefront of your mind, as you're out looking at houses and you're getting feedback from your clients and saying, hey, I like this house, but I just really wish that it had like this, or I wish it didn't have that. Mention the fact that you could do a renovation mortgage. It's something that I make part of my initial consult with people. We start talking about, the kinds of properties they're looking for, what their price range is, we try to set a very realistic expectation. Hey, that's in that price range, you might not find everything you're looking for. So, there's either the idea of like compromising, figuring out what it is you could live without, what things are negotiable. Or, hey, let's take a look at this renovation product and let's talk about all of the things that you could do and how that impacts your mortgage and your mortgage payment. It's a great problem solver for the market that we are in. And until we're in a market where there's a lot more inventory, this is probably going to remain a really valuable product. Again, we do a lot of these at First Home. We even have an entire division in our corporate office in Baltimore dedicated to doing these types of mortgages. And so, again, I don't know anybody that knows more about these types of mortgages than they do. So, it really is a fantastic product for the market that we're in, and it has been a great product for quite some time now. So if you have questions about it, you want to learn more about it, certainly let me know. I'm always here to help you. I think that it is something that not a lot of people know about, and that's part of the reason we wanted to bring it to you today. But it's a great product. Keep it in mind, and if you have any questions or there's anything else that you need, hit me up. Talk to you soon. Bye.